Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 8 of The Fight Addicts. If this is your first time hearing about us, be sure to check out our blog at thefightaddicts.com and stay up to date with us by following at The Fight Addicts on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you're listening to this on an audio platform like iTunes or Spotify, we recommend you checking out our YouTube channel where you can watch this video. And the same if you're checking us out on YouTube. Be sure to check out the audio-only platform if you need to download the video if you're at work or traveling or whatever. So just be sure to check out all platforms that we're on. And we're happy that you're joining us today. As always, my co-host is the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Ben Korn. Ben, how does it feel to finally be videoed on YouTube now?
I don't know, man. I mean, feels pretty much like the same thing we were doing, just with some toys and more of a interrogation room setting with the lighting. But other than that, pretty cool, pretty much the same.
Yep. So we're going to change things up a little bit. We're going to start out with our news instead of the recap first.
Sounds good.
So, actually, before we even get into the news.
Yes.
Feature comment of the week.
Yes.
Which I haven't told you about yet.
Yes.
It's a total surprise to you.
Perfect.
All right, so this comes from a video from MMA World, which showed clips of Ariel Helwani, and he was interviewing Stipe Miocic, and he was kind of trying to get something out of him.
Yes.
Kind of the way that Ariel does. And so there was a comment that read, "He's just being a typical Jew. He loves to create drama, instigate wars, and watch the world burn." That was commented by DeFuhrer8912. No, I'm just kidding. That was by Sham Mating.
Yeah, the Fuhrer, exactly.
Yeah. So it's happy to see that people out there
are still horribly bigoted.
Still horrible people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, well, there's your comment of the week, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, then.
No, but are you a fan of Ariel? Do you like the big nose?
He's all right. Yeah, he's okay.
Do you think he does instigate stuff?
There was a lot of, kind of, not really, not overly. I know there are a lot of people that didn't like him for a while, but I think that he kind of got past that. You know, he got fired for, sorry about that, everybody. You know that he got fired or lost his press pass when he spoiled that Lesnar was coming back.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And Dana made him cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. But, it shouldn't be, in all seriousness, it shouldn't be about his race. But, journalistically, there's that great video of him with Nick Diaz, where Nick Diaz says that people like him get slapped.
Yeah.
So
that's a good classic video.
That's also that's right after he, I want to say, tested, super positive for weed. So he was probably high whenever he was saying that, making that little joke, because it was post-fight comments to Ariel there.
Gotcha. Real quick, I'm going to ask you to bring your mic a little bit closer.
Oh.
Yeah.
How about that? We doing good?
We're doing good.
All right.
So, even before, again, we get into the news, last week we discussed the UFC advertising criminal acts.
Yeah.
And I told you that I would give my decision on this episode.
Yes.
Yeah. So after thinking about it, I've come to the conclusion that I don't have a problem with the UFC advertising criminal activities to promote a fight if it's a major part of the story.
Okay.
But I do have a problem when they run it into the ground. So it's just like the constant main theme of it, as opposed to it just being a side thing.
Yeah. But it's more about the morality of, are you okay with somebody can see that and have a low IQ and think all I got to do to get into the UFC is you got to be a good fighter. You got to be knocking people out, but it helps whenever you instigate stuff like that. It's going to help your career. And I don't think that's a positive message to send out there. And I think that eventually it's going to bite them. Somebody's really going to get hurt. It's not like nobody got hurt in the Dolly situation. People got hurt there, but they just kind of made it go away.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it was people who are under the employ of the UFC who got hurt. So they had a little bit of stake in making it go away. But, I guess we're just going to disagree on that one.
I guess so.
Yeah.
All right, so the top 5 headlines of this week from around the MMA world. Number one was Holloway versus Edgar got announced as the title fight for, I believe it's UFC 240. Is it 240 or 241? Do you know? I forgot to look up the exact.
241 is Costa and Yoel, right?
Okay, so then that's Stipe and DC. So this is 240.
So 240,
which is in Edmonton, and
why? That's a terrible headline for Edmonton. In Canada? I'm like, why you got
Max
a Brazilian?
is pretty big in Canada, though.
Really?
Remember the whole like 10th
I'm
island
sorry,
thing?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Sure. Why not?
Yeah. What do you think of that as a title fight? Do you think that
gonna be good.
Volkanovski should have got the title fight?
No, we talked about this last week. I think that Edgar has enough of a huge resume and like has been a champion at a higher weight class and always kind of has an ability to overcome almost everybody.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't have lost his belt to Benson Henderson, especially in the rematch, because he kind of got screwed in the decision the first time, and then he kind of got screwed in the decision the second time. It's kind of like almost everybody who fought Ben Henderson, except for Nate Diaz. It was like, well, did he really win? Because it was super close, and all he really did was grapple and maybe fight with a toothpick in his mouth.
That's insane that he does that.
It's his choice, man. I used to always think that about wrestlers who would wrestle with like eyebrow rings or big earrings. Like, I'm like, that's getting ripped out. And even in the 90s, you had like nipple rings. And I was like, that is madness. Absolute madness to go around with something hanging off that you're going to be thrown around. That's bad.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
It's crazy that you would want to do that. It's kind of like football players, too. Even with a helmet on, I wouldn't want to wear like earrings or like a big chain necklace or anything.
Well,
like that.
you wouldn't want to have long hair because it's part of your jersey.
Right.
You know, you're going to get Palomalu'd out there. I still remember him getting yanked. He intercepted one and was running it back. And somebody yanked him down by his hair. But then they got flagged because they picked him up by his hair. They yanked him down and picked him back up.
Oh, seriously?
And it was like, yeah, that's completely unnecessary roughness. It should have been a brawl, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. So the second big headline this week was Tyron Woodley pulls out of his fight against Robbie Lawler. Which was the headliner of UFC Milwaukee. I know that you're devastated to hear that because you're such a huge Tyron Woodley fan. But
so now is he just going to wait for his title shot? Is that what he said?
He's pulling to Stipe, waiting for the rematch. No, I haven't heard if he said anything. He did release an Instagram video where he just said that it's because of a hand injury. And he said that he's had one before, and that he'll make it through and recover and be back in no time. But in the meantime, at the time of this recording, nobody has come forth as the replacement. So who would you like to see replace Tyron Woodley and fight Robbie Lawler? Because my pick was Ponzinibbio.
Yeah. Well, see, here was my thing.
Barn burner.
Yeah, I think Ponzinibbio and Lawler would be good. It'd be a banger. But I also think that you could pull out Mr. Capoeira guy from last night. Just throw him in there.
Michel.
Yeah, just throw him in there. Yeah. Let him dance around and do soccer moves before he throws Superman punches. That was crazy. Like, I rewound that like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that was an insane fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think he tests positive?
I'm going to say no.
Okay. Did you see his back? Like, when he jumps up on the cage.
How it's jacked?
Yeah. My wife, I watched this fight, and my wife was doing stuff on her phone. She wasn't paying any attention. And I was like, hold on, honey, you need to see this, because first off, he threw the Harold Howard. He threw the Rolling Thunder thing.
Yeah. Is that what that's called? Because even the commentators, one of them was like, I don't know what that move's called.
Well, I don't know what it's called either, but I call it the Harold Howard. Because remember that video that I showed you of the guy in the wife beater from UFC 3? Yeah. It was like, Mr. Gracie is a master. Sorry about that, everybody. Mr. Gracie is a master of jiu-jitsu on the ground, but I'm a master of jiu-jitsu standing up, or something completely crazy. Everybody who's seen the old UFCs knows who I'm talking about. Harold Howard. If you're we got a phrase where I come from. If you're coming on, come on. And I was like, what is this, Mazzagatti?
Bring it on, come on.
But the first thing he did in his fight in the UFC is he's kind of bouncing, and then he just flips forward with his foot out and misses the guy by a good 10 feet. He just does a flip in front of him, and the guy's like, what? Okay, whatever. But then Harold Howard wins his first fight. He dominates his first fight. But, yeah, that's the only other time I've seen that move.
Yeah, and we'll put a link to that video in the description on YouTube. That way all you guys can check out.
Yeah,
Harold
we
Howard.
should, absolutely. If you don't know who Harold Howard is, and then you got to go deep.
Well, because I had no idea until you showed me.
You got to go super deep on Harold Howard because it's at a later point, he gets a car and drives it into a casino, I believe. Like into the lobby of a casino. Like I think he's in jail right now. Prison right now.
Along with Just Bleed guy.
Yeah. I don't know if Just Bleed is out by now because he's been in jail for stolen farm equipment for a long time. Because his wasn't like...
He got up with the Hugheses, and that's what happens.
Yeah. I mean, if they could somehow connect all of that, I need to write up a script
because we talked about it before.
Yeah. This is all, completely off topic and eventually will be hilarious, but we'll get there. We'll get there, people. I promise.
Yeah. So the third piece of news was Sage Northcutt gets knocked out in 29 seconds in his one championship debut.
And then has 9 hours of facial reconstructive surgery.
Yeah, because of 8 facial fractures. That's insane. Did you expect him to win?
Of course.
Knowing that he was going over there?
Of course.
Yeah.
You expect everybody that goes over there to win because they're fighting a bunch of people that you have no idea who they are.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess the big difference there is that USADA is not a thing.
Yeah.
So we see the effects of it.
Yeah, so Vitor Belfort's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's not a joke. Like, that's just the truth.
Yeah, he did go over there.
Yeah.
And wasn't there news that Chael was going to be fighting Vitor? Because it was Machida, and then it was Vitor, but now it's back to Machida, right? Because, I know that's right, because he's headlining
Bellator.
The next Bellator card.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I swear
you told me the Vitor thing.
Okay, so
and
you didn't
I was
hear
like,
that
okay,
other than me?
no, just you.
Okay,
and I was like, well, that sounds awesome. But
yeah, I was excited for it. But I was wondering how that worked, like contractually.
Yeah, well, when you told me that, I was like, I guess Bellator's willing to do some, Bellator's willing to do some kind of a trade the way that the UFC did with Demetrius Johnson for Ben Askren.
Yeah.
You know who got the better end of that deal.
Yeah.
So
did you think it was going to play out like that?
No, not at all. I expected Mighty Mouse to not lose this Cejudo. I expected Mighty Mouse to win, and then it would have been Mighty Mouse and TJ in a super fight. And I don't think that. I don't know. I guess it goes exactly the same way with Mighty Mouse and TJ.
Really?
You think? I mean, you think? You don't think so?
No. I still feel like that Henry one was just a huge fluke. So I'm saying, like, with DJ, I feel like.
But I think that if
Henry Dillashaw probably, like, decisions him.
But
yeah. But I totally understand what you're saying. Like, in hindsight, knowing that Cejudo can do that to him, like, what can Mighty Mouse do to him?
The same thing.
Right.
That's what I feel like, Because, I mean, they're.
Well, because we both agree that Mighty Mouse is better than Cejudo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, at least close to Cejudo. Like they fought twice. The one that Cejudo won he won 3 rounds and Mighty Mouse won 2. The one that Mighty Mouse won, he finished Cejudo in the first round.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference. And the only reason that Cejudo gets to fight him again is because the depth of the division is non-existent. It's like, you want to fight Joseph Benavidez again?
Yeah.
Like, I guess. I still remember that. Like, that was the thought when I think he's going to finish TJ with a punch. I think about that Joseph Benavidez second time where Mighty Mouse blew his brains out. Just shotgun blast to the face. One punch, 125 knockout. I was like, whoa, brutal.
We're going to be talking about a shotgun blast to the face here in a second.
Absolutely.
But you might have an idea of what I'm talking about. But before that, did you see Thiago Santos talking crap about Jon Jones?
No. Okay, well, tell me about it.
That's our fourth headline. So, expected title challenger Thiago Santos declared, or he decided to do some self-promotion for this upcoming fight with Jon Jones. He blasted Jones' personal life by saying, Jones will be remembered as a roider, a guy who drives while drunk. It's his life. That's how he wants to live his life. That's his problem. It's like I said, you can't argue about his talents inside the octagon, but outside of it, unfortunately, he's not a good role model. That's what I think. So Jones got on Twitter, and he said, I've shown my opponent nothing but respect, yet today's headlines are of him talking expletive. 95% of my opponents insult my personal life before the fight. 100% of them end up losing. Who's ready for July 6th?
Yeah, man. Okay. I
Siding with
think that's
Jones.
just stating. I just think that's all stating facts.
Yeah, every bit of
You
that.
know? Yeah. Like Bigfoot Silva. I wish it was Bigfoot Silva. Testosterone up Bigfoot Silva. That'd be fun. Let him get on top of Jones. But I still think Jones would beat Bigfoot Silva. Even Roy did.
I do too.
Although, if Silva got on top of him, it'd be a bad night for Jon, I think. If Bigfoot Silva got in Jones's guard, if he managed to get on top of Jon Jones, I don't think he could get him off of him. Because Fedor couldn't get him off of him.
Yeah, I would say it depends a good bit on how heavy Jones is in that fight.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Jones walks around at like 235 or 240 now.
Yeah, he'd probably be that.
So,
but what does Silva walk around at?
I mean, heavier than that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Does he cut weight to make 65?
I think he does.
He's like Francis Ngannou, who has to shed off a couple pounds.
Yeah, I think so.
I know. It'd be a good fight.
Yeah. But as
when
far
they're both
as
in their primes.
As
not
far
now.
as Santos, Thiago Santos, Mr. Thor's hammer, as opposed to Brock's sword, they should really have that fight. That's a battle of the chest tattoos.
Yeah. And then have Sandhagen and Cody on the same card.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that he didn't say anything out of line. He told the complete truth.
Right.
That wasn't smack talk. And then Jones didn't defend his personal life. He just said that 95% of his opponents pointed out and 100% of them lose. All of that is true, except there's a deaf guy who can raise his hand and be like, excuse me.
That's right. I was hoping that you were going to add that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the fifth headline, which this isn't MMA news technically, but it was just so impressive that I wanted to mention it here. But I'm from Alabama originally, so Mr. Deontay Wilder had a huge knockout.
I saw that.
Yeah, against Dominique. I think it's Brazil.
That's
gonna
why,
go with how you pronounce
that's
that?
why you see a huge knockout.
Yeah.
Because you're like,
Nobody knows who that is.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was a first round, huge, devastating blast. So I was going to ask if you saw it and
Did
what
you
you
see
thought
red
about
tie guy? The guy in the front row in the red tie?
I just saw a
There's
little
a
minute
meme
video
him.
clip of
Yeah.
it.
Like in the replay, it's hilarious. There's a dude sitting in the front row who his mouth just is agape as he's standing up. It's like he saw the second coming of Christ. It's just like, okay, all right, buddy. But yeah, I mean, Wilder's impressive, but he should be fighting Tyson Fury again.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, but it's boxing. Welcome to boxing.
Yep.
Not gonna happen.
You think Dana White should go to boxing?
No.
After he leaves the
it
UFC?
won't help anything. He needs a monopoly to make it work. And boxing will never be a monopoly until everything goes bankrupt, and then you get one person in charge of it. Once there's one federation, then it'll be a good thing.
Now, do you know off the top of your head which one's the top federation? I guess the most respected belt that you can get in boxing.
Well, there's WBO, there's WBA, there's WBC.
And there's
Those
is it
are-
IBF.
Yeah, there's IBF.
Is that what Caleb Plant is? The IBF super middleweight world champion?
Probably. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm thinking that's what it is.
I know that I don't think Deontay Wilder is the unified heavyweight champion of the world.
No, because Anthony Joshua.
Anthony Joshua has a belt, right?
Right.
Yeah, and Wilder has a belt. I know that even when James Toney got done fighting Randy Couture, he had a belt. That James Toney was the heavyweight champion of the world after he fought Randy Couture. That shows you how many belts there are. But at the same time, you can laugh, but if you haven't really watched a lot of James Toney, that dude is amazing at boxing. He got styled on in the UFC, but he's amazing at boxing.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into our UFC Fight Night 152 recap. We'll start off with our awards that we give out every week. So, Ben, I'm going to let you start. Who was your Griffin Bonner Award for this week, which is our award for the best fight on the card?
Griffin Bonner was Antonio, a.k.a. Mexican Hardy's Carlos Jr. And what was it? Heinisch?
Yeah, Heinisch.
Yeah, Heinisch getting that done. That was, strong. That was mine. Yeah.
Yeah. I really liked the Charles Oliveira and Nick Lentz fight.
It was good.
Even though it didn't last very long. It was a pretty high-paced, exciting fight.
Yeah.
And you didn't really know. Well, I feel like Nick Lentz did a pretty good job staying in it until he got finished.
Especially to have kind of gotten beat by that guy. I mean, he lost one of them by DQ, but he won by DQ against Oliveira. They fought. That's their third time fighting.
Yeah, I knew that was a trilogy fight because they said it was a no contest. And then
Oliveira beat him.
Right.
And so then Oliveira beat him again.
Yeah.
So
was there any reason they were putting on a trilogy fight, or it was just like
fight of the night twice?
Okay.
Because it was two good fights.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm sitting here saying it's my fight of the night, so
yeah, exactly. It was a good fight because two dudes who match up well, you should want to see them fight again. It's like if you would all of a sudden sign Luis Palomino to the UFC, you have to have him fight Justin Gaethje. Because Justin Gaethje has fought him twice, and it was beautiful both times. Because those two dudes are made for each other. It's like Griffin Bonner. It's like those two dudes are made for each other. They have the exact right level of chin to just eat it and keep going. But not just eat it and with no sell it. Like you're getting wobbled. You're getting people who are getting hurt by blows. But it could end at any moment, and it doesn't. It just keeps going. And you get to see people not be able to remember their grandkids' names later because of it. And it's just like, yeah, there we go.
just cheer it on and give all of our money to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. All right, so next, your GSP award for this week, which is just the overall biggest win that happened on the card. Anything that we want it to be, really.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure that we're going to pick the same thing for the thing that happened on that card that was amazing.
I think so.
And it was
the thing that we talked about before we started.
Fiera, or whatever his name is.
Pereira. Yeah.
Okay.
English Pereira.
Pereira, yeah.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. Pereira. That dude, the things he did his soccer move before the Superman punch. I was like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And then he tried to hit that Harold Howard move from UFC 3 with the rolling thunder is what they called it. Just the front flip with, you're going to kick him. Like you're going to do it's kind of like a bicycle kick backwards in soccer, except you're going to flip all the way forward. And
that's a good explanation of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing a full rotation. Too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course it is. It's got to be everybody's.
Michel Pereira.
Gotta
and he was a plus 250 underdog on top of that.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
And I told my wife afterwards, I made her watch this fight because it was so ridiculous. And I said, you need to watch this now because no one is going to stand with him ever again. Ever. You'll never see him with any kind of range because everybody will watch this fight ahead of their fight with him, and they're going to say, I'm going to look stupid because it's not like Danny Roberts doesn't know what he's doing with his hands. It's not like the guy who was fighting is some kind of slouch that can just get styled on. It's not Uriah Hall versus the dude on Ultimate Fighter. You know?
Yeah.
Like, that was my instant thought was like, okay, this guy looks like he should be at 185 pounds, if not 205, this 170-pounder, the Pereira. I thought Pereira looked humongous for 170 pounds. So in my head, I was like, he needs to go fight Uriah Hall right now and just have them spin at each other. And I bet you he would win. I think he'd beat Uriah Hall. I think he would crush him because I think Uriah Hall would, prime time, would see them big lights and he'd freeze. That's what I think.
Yeah. All right. Who was your CM Punk award for this week since we both agreed on the GSP award? Which obviously is the anti-GSP award, the biggest fail that happened on the card.
Yeah.
Or biggest L.
Man, what's yours?
All right. Mine was Kevin Lee's heart and his cardio.
What are you talking about? That was the most...
I'm talking about whenever he tries to take him down.
Yeah.
And he just fails, and he just kind of like quits and gives up, like in frustration and like exhaustion. And then RDA's like, yeah.
That's the important thing.
Right.
Like, that's...
So yeah, his cardio. That's it. Because here's the thing. Because we'll just go ahead. Well, is yours different than this?
I don't have one, man.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head.
So just overall good card.
It was a great card.
It was a good card, especially for a fight night.
Very... Oh, I remember what it was. Sorry about that, everybody. I remember exactly what it was. It was the ref in the fight with all the fouls. Hold on. Let me see. Heinisch and Antonio Carlos Jr., the ref in that fight.
I was fixing to say, because there were a couple fights that
he
had
said,
some stuff.
that they were both on double secret probation. Like the commentator said that. He was like, now they're both on double secret probation because they took time to stop and say, there's a warning for an elbow. There's a warning for a headbutt. There's a warning for a groin strike. Like telling the commission and all this stuff. It's just like, dude, you gotta take points.
Give them points.
Just be like, that's a point. Yeah, don't do it again. I'll disqualify. Exactly. Don't do it again. I'll disqualify you. Like if they're both kicking at the same time, that's one thing. But like, you gotta just. The second that you feel like you've warned people sternly, if it keeps going sideways, you got to be like, that's a point. That's a point. You know what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and get into the main event of the fight since that was my CM Punk award. So going into it, Kevin Lee's making his welterweight debut. Mm-hmm. So my whole thing is, this guy has a lot of potential. I mean, he fought Tony Ferguson for the interim lightweight title. Mm-hmm. He has always shown mainly in the Al fight, we see that he doesn't necessarily have like the toughness and like the endurance that Al does. And I feel like that's what won Al that fight, because Al even commented like how strong Lee was. And like Lee has the skills and everything. It's just kind of a Conor thing. Like he doesn't really last if you take him to the championship rounds. So my idea was that this guy has a ton of potential and we see him go up to welterweight. He should probably have a better gas tank, and he's fighting RDA, who's coming off of two losses to Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington, who are solid wrestlers. So if you want to put Lee in that category of being a solid wrestler, like he just wrestles him for 5 rounds with a good gas tank and then he wins.
No, that's not a fair, like, at the same time, yes, that's true.
Because I feel like I see Kevin Lee's potential. So I guess that's why it was kind of disappointing for me, because I'm like, dude, like, I felt like this was your big chance. And he even said, like, he felt like everything was right. And I don't know. Like,
he won the first 2 rounds, if you ask me.
I had him winning round 1. I thought that round 2 was really close, but I edged it out to RDA.
I just thought that he was, like, one thing that Lee does amazingly well that I'm always going to give people points for is he kept taking his back. Lee was on his back all the time.
Yeah.
And, like, if you understand, I mean, obviously, if you're sitting here watching a podcast of 2 guys talking about MMA, you understand that that is an extremely dangerous position. Like, as far as dominant position goes, unless you have them mounted, back mount or on their back is the most dominant position, I feel like. Like if you have them mounted, they need to be on the ground. Like if you have them flattened out on their stomach, that's the best position.
Like both hooks in.
Yeah, where they can't even get any kind of base. You've got your hooks in under their thighs, and you're just hipping down to where they can't even use their legs anymore. It's going to be hard for them to roll over to fight the choke, And if they do, you can drop bombs on them because they can't really defend themselves, So, I mean, that's why I gave Lee the second round. However, at the end of the second round, I said, I bet you he wishes this was a 3-round fight because it looks like he's starting to huff and puff a little bit, and the stash looks strong on Dos Nachos. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
That was what I was thinking. Also, I thought that, like
Dos Nachos, or you're thinking, like, all that other stuff?
I was thinking all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But, and I was thinking that Ralphie Dos Nachos the whole time. I was impressed by him.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah.
I really thought that this was going to be kind of his, like, decline.
Yeah.
I thought he'd lose 3 in a row, and then he would maybe, like, lose another one to get, like, a super easy fight, and then just kind of be probably, like, your prelim headliner kind of guy.
Well, I think now he's going to be, like, your gatekeeper guy. If you can beat Dos Nachos, you deserve a chance at the belt of Colby.
The MAGA belt?
Yeah, you can get the MAGA belt from... You can stop being a nerd if you can get that belt.
Yeah. No virgins allowed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So, what, yeah, I don't even remember where we were with that.
Well, I'm just going to ask you, I mean, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
What's the next move for Kevin Lee? Like, do you go back down to 155? Do you try to make a home at 170?
Yeah, you try and make a home at 170 and you fight somebody that isn't a world champion. That's what you do. Like, you stop. Obviously, 170 is where you need to be because you had issues making 155 and you felt like it drained you and you could never really go 5 rounds. Well, at 170, that was an exhausting pace that entire fight that both of them set.
Yeah.
And
now, to be noted, RDA was a former lightweight, so it's not like he's fighting like a Darren Till kind of thing.
yeah, but Darren Till, I feel like, would have broken.
Yeah.
Either Darren Till would have knocked him out.
I'm just saying it's worth pointing out
Yeah.
that, like, RDA used to fight at 55, too.
Yeah, right. And the question is, like, well, if RDA fought, did RDA fight Darren Till? He's never fought Darren Till, has he?
No.
Yeah, like, well, is Darren Till going to knock him out in the first 2 minutes? Because I feel like if he doesn't, he's in some serious trouble. I feel like Ralphie either gets swarmed and gets hurt bad, like he did against when he lost the belt to Alvarez. Like, he either gets them hands put on him by somebody who can strike, or it becomes this horror war of attrition unless you're Kamaru Usman or, like some monster,
The way you say his name always cracks me up. Say his first name.
Kimura.
Kimura.
It's the Kamaru.
Usmari. It's some type of, like, long last name. Have you ever seen his full last name?
What's the name of the you don't know Star Trek, do you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's an unbeatable scenario that Captain Kirk cheats at. He reprograms the thing to beat it, and it's called, like, the Kamara Roo or something like that. And so I
Seriously?
almost always say it like that. Just that's what I think of.
Yeah. I mean, that sounded closer to his name than...
Well, Marty from Nebraska. So
There we go.
yeah. When he's fighting Marty, he's fighting a guy that's twice his size.
Yeah.
Like, just a monster. So it's like, well, okay.
Well, I think it was Anjos himself that said it was like a Prius fighting a truck whenever he fought Usman.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, but he's got that gas tank.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So, like you said, you think that I swear I almost said Dos Nachos.
You can't.
Like, so you think that
That's his name.
it pretty much is now. So you think that Dos Nachos? You said that he's like in a gatekeeper position.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody in particular in mind that you want to see him fight, or just kind of whoever? Because welterweight's kind of locked up, like your top 5 right now.
I mean, if you still wanted to get, he just won though. So, like, have him. I don't know.
Well, I was gonna say have him fight Woodley.
Yeah, have him fight Woodley.
Whenever Woodley gets healthy.
That was the thought that went through my head, but I feel like Woodley beats him again.
I was about to say, I feel like that that fight goes a lot like the Usman fight.
Yeah.
Probably not to the extreme, since we saw what Usman did to Woodley, but pretty close.
I think that if he pushes it, Woodley will knock him out. If he really pressures him,
Yeah.
that he can't, like, you can't let Woodley hit you.
Mm-mm.
Or
Robbie Lawler saw that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the co-main event,
Mm-hmm.
you had that as your fight of the night.
It was.
Do you know what's up with
Heinisch?
Carlos Jr. Hardy's?
Mm-hmm.
His nickname.
Hispanic Hardy's. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shoeface.
Shoeface. Do you know what's up with that?
No.
Okay, I was going to ask if you heard like a backstory or anything on that.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I don't know.
I hadn't either, so we're just going to leave it in suspense, and everybody can go look it up if they want to. Because I had no idea, like, at all, why he was called Shoeface.
I didn't think too hard about it. I figured it was something that didn't translate in Portuguese.
So they just
Well, I mean,
left
like,
it at
I think that it's sort of like, maybe it means he's tough. I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I figured that would be something that, like, you would find, like, really interesting and, like, come back with all this stuff.
I just can't wait until, like, he gets a belt and then I see him on a Hardee's commercial. Like, I'm Antonio Carlos Jr. for Carl's Jr.
It's like DC with the Popeyes.
Dude, he should. Everybody should.
I think it's Derrick Lewis got Popeyes for life
Really?
after the Cormier fight.
Good for him.
Yeah, because he was, like, helping promote it. So that was the reward for him.
That's like, if he gets Popeyes for life, that's almost a detrimental thing. It's like something Cormier did to sabotage him ahead of time. It's like, you get Popeyes for life, bro. He doesn't make 265. He takes off a mask. Everybody realizes that he is Brett Rogers. That's what I'm hoping. It's a boy. the worst back tattoo ever in Brett Rogers. Gotta look it up. Brett Rogers' Grim Reaper tattoo is just terrible.
Did you have any other fights in particular that you wanted to talk about?
I just want to talk about old Brett Rogers fights. No, not really, man. I mean, let me look through here real quick.
Okay.
Make sure I'm not missing something.
All right. Well, while you're looking through, what did you think of Aspen Ladd and Cesare Eubanks' fight? Because that got the official fight of the night, according to the UFC.
Okay.
I didn't think that it was that entertaining. I thought it was okay, but not fight of the night worthy. Also thought it was a lot closer than 30-26 on one of the scorecards.
That was a crazy scorecard.
Yeah. I was thinking
that was a wrong
29-28 either way, to be honest. I thought it was a pretty close fight.
Yeah. I could see you saying it was 30-27, but what round was it? 10-8?
I guess it'd be that second round.
I guess.
Because, I mean, Ladd was on her and Cesare didn't really do much because the first round was like Cesare controlled, then Aspen controlled for like 3 minutes of it, but then Cesare had that little fury at the end. Mm-hmm. She like drops or whatever, so it couldn't have been that one. And then the third one was just kind of not like a feeling out, but just kind of a back and forth.
Right.
So I would assume it's the second, but yeah.
Yeah, I would say Eubanks won the first.
Yeah, that's what I have written down.
Aspen won the second two.
Yeah, I thought the third was kind of a coin toss.
Eubanks she has trouble making weight.
And that's at 35, right?
Or did she go to 35? She was at 25 on Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, man.
And she was going to be
the weight written down.
The champ at 25, but had to pull out of her fight.
Yeah, that was going to be the headliner.
Couldn't make weight.
For Cormier Lewis.
No. Back at the end of the Ultimate Fighter. Nico Montoya was supposed to fight her to determine who was going to be the champion.
I got you. I thought you were talking
Eubanks
about...
was in the hospital, and so they pulled Roxanne Modafferi to fight for the belt.
Yeah.
And she lost. And I was just like, please, if there was ever a chance, like so that she can be like, I'm a UFC champion with this stand-up. Yeah. That's what I wanted it to be able to be said.
In 2018? Was that when that happened? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Eubanks and I guess it would have been Shevchenko at that point that were going to headline Madison Square Garden.
Oh, yeah, and everybody was really mad about that.
Yeah. And then they changed it after 2 weeks.
And Joe Rogan got a bunch of heat because he said, I don't know who Jai Eubanks is on his podcast. He was like, I don't know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It was. Ed Herman, Mr. Shortfuse, got the job done against Pat Cummins.
Yep.
And that was a fight that you wanted to see.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that it didn't play out like you wanted it to because I know you had Cummins winning.
Well, I mean, it played out how I wanted it to. It didn't play out how I expected it to.
Okay.
I wanted Ed Herman to win. But, I kind of think that Pat Cummins gets whatever he has coming to him because all the things that he said about Cormier ahead of their fight. That he talked himself into that short notice thing when they went and got him from Starbucks. He was working into Starbucks, and he's just saying how he made Daniel Cormier cry in a wrestling room one time. And then they were like, do you want to fight him in, the main event of a UFC pay-per-view? I was like, sure, on, 2 months' notice. And then it's the most, manufactured fake angry shove when Cormier comes up to him on the stage and he's laughing. He shoves Patrick Cummins and Cummins is just laughing at him. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you shoving me? That's just dumb.
The way you're explaining it reminds me of Tito and Ken Shamrock, the I'll beat you to the living death, and then Tito just breaks out laughing.
Yeah, except for the fact that it was after the physical altercation that Cummins is laughing at him. And I guess Tito laughed at Ken whenever he kicked the chair, too.
Yeah, Dana's just back there.
Dana caught it, yeah. Oh. That's the only way that you can make Tito look good is to get Ken Shamrock there somehow. Tito will just he'll kill himself in his own words if you just let him. But if Ken starts talking, Tito sounds like Shakespeare all of a sudden. And it's terrible.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever expect Ken to win one of those fights? I know this is totally off topic.
Well, if they have it 10 years from now, promoted by Oscar De La Hoya, I will pick Ken to win.
That'll be the fourth fight, right? They fought
three times, and Tito has won all 3 times.
Yeah. Why not put a fourth one then? That's all that gun through.
I want to say that when Ryan Bader lost to Tito, Tito's last win was Ken Shamrock before that. And that's what everybody...
Say that again.
I want to say that when Tito beat Ryan Bader
Okay.
to keep his UFC contract,
Mm-hmm.
his last win before that was Ken Shamrock.
Oh, wow.
It would have been a long time since Tito had won a fight. And, or maybe he had like a split decision against Forrest Griffin that he didn't
somewhere in
win.
there.
Yeah. But, yeah, he was on a very downhill trajectory, and then he managed to pull that one out. Because it went Machida Bader as far as his last two fights. Yeah. Bader's only loss was Jon Jones, I think.
Gotcha. So the very first fight of the night on the prelims.
Really good.
Yeah. Julio Arce and Julian Juicy J. Rossa.
Yeah.
I thought you'd find that nickname funny, too.
Yeah. He was on an Ultimate Fighter or something. I've seen him before. I know him from somewhere. Just like I knew the guy that was the Ultimate Fighter or the Contender Series guy who fought and got beat. Silly. He went crazy and then got caught.
I don't know. It's not popping into my head right now.
Hold on. I'll tell you who he is. He is...
When did he fight?
Krantz.
Okay.
Krantz.
Yeah.
That guy. I'd seen him fight in Legacy, or he's been fighting for a long time in local promotions. And, yeah, when I saw him, and then I saw that he's fighting Luque, I was like, he's probably going to get mauled. But he did really well to start with.
Yeah, I overlooked that card or that fight.
And then he got mauled.
Yeah.
And then the right thing happened. Just like Rossa. Just like Rossa and his opponent.
Arce.
Rossa and Arce. Rossa came out guns blazing, ready to go, and we're going to bang. It's like, I don't understand what's happening. And then finally, Arce found the thing that should have happened earlier and just kicked him dead.
And he was tied for the second biggest favorite on the card. Arce was.
Right.
It was negative 800, and then the other dude was plus 550.
Right.
Yeah, and that was a good fight for it to be with those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dangerous fight for it to be. I didn't expect. Well, it shows you that Rossa can't really hit that hard. Because if he was more of a banger, he would have either gotten him out. Like, Arce hits that hard. He kicks that hard at least. And, yeah, he can finish people. But Rossa is able to go out there and go out on his shield. But he doesn't necessarily have one-shot kill. Like, that's the problem with Garbrandt, really. Is like, he can go out there and style on people, but he's not just putting people stone cold dead with one shot.
Yeah. Not like a good like walk off knockout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he had that, he'd be Conor McGregor. Kind of. In a weird way.
He could take the Gorilla King title.
Yeah. You could have him fight. You could show that from Ultimate Fighter. Why don't you do something?
Yeah.
Why don't you do something? He's like, I'll do something. Yeah, just have it. And then just play it.
Yeah.
You could mash it up with him like saying, I'll do something, and then it cuts to him choking TJ. What? Just completely like going into like full blown like this is a felony, like this is just a open like assault in a hallway,
and then just clip to him like crying with Maddox, the cancer kid, like in a back room, and you just like all of like his different emotions like played out in like a 15-second span.
Yeah. But at the end,
and throw a robot dance in there.
Yeah, and then hanging with the boys. Yeah,
hanging with the boys.
Yeah, him drunkenly saying that, robot dancing in front of Cruz.
Yeah. We need to make a YouTube video just like the life of Cody Garbrandt. Because since we're both like actual like serious fans, but then we find him like hilarious at the same time.
We need to make a video called "Lives Similar to Cody Garbrandt's," and it's just like Jersey Shore or something like horrible. Like, what are these people doing? It's like, that's how you wind up with those tattoos, bro. Just to let you know.
Yeah.
But super dangerous.
You think
Jersey Shore.
You think that the gun tattoos are bad, right?
Yes, and those are bad.
No, those are some of his better ones. That has to be like. I think that we can all agree that the big diamond on the neck was probably not the best call.
I thought that did I tell you my idea for the nickname for Kevin Lee?
No, I'm ready to hear it.
Instead of like the Motown phenom, just call him Mr. Chiesa. Just so that before every fight, he should somehow have some comment about Chiesa's mom, so that he'll win. Because whenever he does it, he wins.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's 1-0.
Yeah, exactly. He's 1-0.
Yeah. I mean that's one of his most impressive performances. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And Chiesa's mom was there. she got tickets.
Yeah. He sent them to her?
Yeah, I hope so. Oh.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're already nearing the end of the podcast.
Oh, wow.
It's already almost been an hour. Do you want to go ahead and wrap up with our picks for the main event?
Let's do it, man.
All right. It's UFC Fight Night 153. Gustafsson versus Anthony Smith. For right now, we'll just pick
Just
the main
saying
event.
that makes me
Yeah.
so angry. Just to let
Well,
you
it's like
know.
saying Jon Santos for the light heavyweight belt.
Well, it's like saying Jones Anthony Smith for the light heavyweight belt.
Yeah.
Like, good Lord. You couldn't, like, go get Ryan Bader or something? Like, seriously. I think that Ryan Bader would beat Anthony Smith. Do you think that?
I would bet that.
I bet you Ryan Bader, like,
Let us know in the
lights him
comments who
up.
wins that.
I bet you he would style on him. You know? He'd either take him down and maul him, or he'd just knock him out standing up. As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah.
Depending on if Anthony Johnson. Depending on if Anthony Smith covers up for 5 rounds and just stands there like this. Because that's what he did against Jon Jones. He's like, I'm not getting finished.
Yeah.
He should have gotten fined. Like, Dana should have done his whole speech about Anderson Silva.
He should have done the bare knuckle thing. like immediately after the fight, the guy comes back and he's like, hey, if you're going to do that, then
You're not getting paid,
getting
bro.
half your purse.
Yeah. It's going to Jon Jones' coke habit. How about that? We're just going to give it to Jones in blow for him to do afterwards.
Yeah. Well,
While drinking proper 12 on the dais.
I'm picking Smith to win.
Are you? I was like, because you're
And that's
wrong.
no disrespect to Smith. I think it'll probably be, I'm not going to say a close fight, but I don't think it's going to be a one-sided affair. I'm not going to say Gustafsson comes out and knocks him out in the first 3 minutes.
I think it's going to be very one-sided.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that I don't know that he necessarily will finish him, but I think that he will mess him up at range.
So you're talking about 10-8 rounds probably?
Not necessarily. It depends on if Anthony Smith turtles, it'll look like
That should be his new nickname for the way he looks and the way he fights.
Yeah. If he looks, the thing is, if he does what he did against Jon Jones, he'll get destroyed because physical properties wise, they're the same guy.
Yeah.
Like Gustafsson is the same dude.
We saw that in the first fight
And I
between
think
Jones
that,
and Gus.
And I think that Gustafsson has a lot of motivation to go out there and kill Anthony Smith.
Well, see, that's why I'm thinking that it's going to be a little bit closer. It's because he's made comments about how, if it sounds kind of funny the way that he words it, but he's like, if I can't beat Anthony Smith, then, I might need to retire.
Yeah.
So part of me is
He's right. That's 100% what he should say.
Right, but now is that saying that, he's on this mental state to where he's, already thinking about retirement, or is he literally just stating, if I'm not good enough to be Anthony Smith, then, I don't have it in me anymore?
Yeah, what's the point of being here?
Right.
Yeah.
So mine's I'm trying to figure out where he's at psychologically.
He's not BJ Penn. That's what that means. He's not
he
BJ
has a brain.
Penn. Yeah, he's like, well, if I'm not going to really be a contender here, then I don't need to go get pugilistic dementia.
Yeah.
I don't need that in my life. So, yeah.
Well, you know what they should do if
Penn versus Gustafsson. That's what they should do.
They could. Penn would go up to that weight.
Why not?
I was going to say if Frankie wins the title at featherweight, let's throw BJ Penn in there as his first title defense.
That'd be
great. Yeah, at
4,
featherweight, yeah.
BJ Frankie 4.
Yep.
Wait 6 years, and then Bellator will pick him up.
Yeah.
Terrible. Actually, they're trying to get away from that, I think, as far as all
their last
freaky
card was
stuff.
really good.
They are required now to produce a higher product because they expect people to pay for it.
Yeah, with them being on DAZN.
Right. And that's the dumbest thing that you could ever do. Is because here's the thing, with Bellator especially, right? I'm not going to give UFC any money. Okay? I've given them a lot of money, and I'm done giving them more money to watch fighting. I'll buy ESPN Plus for $5 a month. That's what I'll do because I have a podcast about MMA. I will not pay $9.99 a month for something that promotes MVP. I won't do it. Nope. Okay, so you're telling me that I have to pay $10 a month for Michael Venom Page?
This for
yeah,
3
exactly.
rounds.
Yeah, Mr. Looks like he's Santino Marella from the WWE, everybody out there, you know what I'm talking about. With his little
I have no idea
hand
what you're talking about.
I'm going to send you something later, and you'll understand. But
all right, and I'll put that in the description.
You
That way
should.
all you guys can watch it too.
Yeah. But, no, I mean, their roster is inferior on the whole. I don't think that there's a champion that really is going to be able to handle. I mean, first off, they have 2 double champs. Ryan Bader is the heavyweight champion and the light heavyweight champion.
Oh, Bader. Yeah, I was about to say who's the second one because I knew Pitbull.
Pitbull is now the 145, 155. And it's not like those guys are bad, but we know what happens when Ryan Bader fights Jon Jones. We've seen it before. And
Did he fight DC? Did Bader fight DC?
No.
Okay. But, I mean, I think
Bader
that we
was
know
calling for a fight with DC.
Okay,
and
I didn't know if
DC
they
was
originally
like,
fought back in the day.
DC was like, that's ridiculous. Didn't Ryan Bader get his brains, like, splattered by the guy that fought Jones, the Brazilian guy, Glover Teixeira?
Oh. I was going to say Hamill because he beat Jones. So.
Yeah, no. Hamill didn't really, other than Tito. He beat up Tito. But I don't really think Hamill finished many people, did he?
I'm not recalling any off the top of my head.
No.
Like any big ones.
And then he just got.
He's always had to wait for his name to be called in the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I really wish that he would talk about like the like energy of the crowd and stuff. like talk about feeding off of it and stuff. I think it'd be hilarious.
We need to have him on here.
Yeah,
I would try to book him for real.
Okay.
At some point.
Ask him about just eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's
What's that?
No, that's just what he did in the Ultimate Fighter house. Like, you see his physique and, like, how freak strong
It's like
he is.
semi-aspirin.
And he's just like, no, I mean, he's jacked.
Oh, I thought you were talking about, like, I don't remember him, like, having abs.
Matt Hamill?
Yeah. Hold on. I got to look up a picture of him because I'm not remembering.
He's got a good, I mean, think about, like, he's kind of like Matt Hughes strong. It's not that you ever are like, oh, man, look how ripped Matt Hughes is. You never like, Matt Hughes has a 12-pack. Check out those veins in his stomach.
He probably does have a 12-pack.
You know? Sitting on a tractor with a shotgun, waiting for Mark. Mark and that nephew of his.
Yeah, a day in the life. Okay, yeah. So,
reading Esther on the tractor with a shotgun and a 12-pack.
Country boy can't survive.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, you wouldn't look at him and just be like, he's jacked, but you look at him and be like, he's strong, kind of thing.
Yeah, and
if that makes sense.
Everybody that locked up with him on Ultimate Fighter was constantly like, freak strong, too strong. And Michael Bisping about broke his arm because he was like, he's going so hard on everything. And Bisping caught him in an arm bar, and he was going to try and do some fancy stuff to just yank out of it. And Bisping was like, no, you need to tap. Like, I'm going to make you tap because you've been wrestling everyone to death in here and being like, oh, I'm the man on the training mat. And it's like, well, you can get armbarred eventually. You're going to tap to me because I'm going to be the champion eventually. And he didn't tap, but he hyperextended his elbow and almost couldn't fight on the show. And then still wound up not being able to finish on the show because he got too hurt in his first fight. He got like dehydrated or something, and they wouldn't let him continue. Good times.
Yeah, crazy. All right, so official picks for the main event between Gustafsson and Smith.
Gustafsson.
Like, call it how you like. Stoppage decision.
Second round. Cut stoppage.
So you think the first round's just going to be just going to be like a complete obliteration, then he just finishes him in the second?
The first round, he's going to swell his eye shut with a jab. And in the second round, it's going to end, and they're going to go to him on the stool and be like, he can't see out of his eye. And it's not Santa Claus in the Josh Koscheck fight who just lets him not be able to feel his face for the rest of his life, and they stop the fight. There's your ultimate CM Punk award. Like, that
Josh
doctor.
Koscheck's eye.
No, that doctor that looked at it and was just like, it's fine. It's fine that there's a professional fighter who doesn't have any front teeth, and whenever you touch the inswell to it, he goes, ah. Like, yeah, that guy's got a broken orbital and, like, can't see what's going to keep hitting his broken face. and you're going to let it happen for another 20 minutes because that happened in the first round. And GSP's like, okay.
Jab, jab, jab.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually watched that.
Shouldn't have made those motorboating comments.
Yeah. I was talking to one of my friends about that the other day. I said one of like the funniest like trash talking lines comes from Josh Koscheck. He's like, I'm gonna walk over there and just I can't finish it because we choose not to curse on this podcast, but
it is a choice.
Yeah,
but yeah. So like, and Koscheck assaulted the nurse on that season.
He did.
You remember that?
No, because I didn't watch that season.
Him. Yeah, you've got to see that season. You got Skarbowski shows up on that season. The crazy Muay Thai guy. We need to put a link up to Skarbowski. Remind me. I'll send you Charles Skarbowski.
I'll make notes of it.
But in that season, Koscheck is constantly doing things that are completely inappropriate to people. And, like, at some point he starts, like, making fun of this guy who is on, like, he's like a trainer, like a nurse guy. Like he's going to be like a masseuse for you or something. And he just keeps telling him, he's like, you're a male nurse, bro. You're a nurse, bro. And then the guy is like, well, I don't think you're going to ever do anything. So if you're just going to sit there and talk. And then he just
goes and motorboats him.
Like goes crazy on him. Yeah. And then all the fighters have to like jump in between them. And I just remember Koscheck putting his forearm in a guy's throat that's trying to hold him back. And the guy's like, it's cool, man. It's cool. It's cool. Like the whole time.
So what was your favorite season of The Ultimate Fighter if you had to pick one?
Pulver Pin.
Okay. Solely because of Jens Pulver?
Well, it's because of Jens Pulver. It's because of Nate Diaz. It's because of Manny Gamburian. It's because Caro shows up and asks, don't you know who I am? It's because, like, there's so much in that season. Corey Hill has never had a fight and is just there and wins his first fight until he fights Nate Diaz. It's just like, this is impressive. Pin on the first day. Anybody who doesn't want anything to do with Team Pulver, raise your hand. And in 3/4 of the room puts their hands up. And Pulver's just like, No. And Dana's like, no, we're not doing this.
Goofballs.
Yeah, exactly. All right, goofballs. I told you to make a pick, not that. Yeah, exactly. And take him down, Wang. That's that season. Andy Wang.
Okay.
Standing Wang is that season. Take him down, Wang. And then he cries and BJ kicks him off the team.
I've seen that. I remember.
The ambulance. And BJ making fun of him. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, to go back to what we were originally talking about, my pick for Gustafsson Smith will be Alexander Gustafsson, I'll say in the 4th round after a bunch of strikes, he just ends up finishing him. And then you do get the Smith, like, cradle pose.
But he pours it on.
Like, pounding on him. Yeah. But I think the first round will probably be a filling out round, be kind of close. And then second round on, it just slowly advances towards Gustafsson's favor. And I will say a finished 4th round for Gustafsson.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Sound good?
Sounds very good. What's a co-main in that?
Co-main is... I have to pull it up real quick.
That's okay. The reason I ask is because I kind of feel like the co-main in the past fight, the last set of fights, was better than the main.
I knew this. It was Volkan Ozdemir and Ilir Latifi.
Wow. Okay.
It's a good light heavyweight fight.
So Ozdemir should win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's coming off 3 losses in a row to DC, Smith, and then he lost to Reyes, technically.
Yeah.
But, I mean, most people think that he won that decision.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I remember that fight. I remember that fight now.
Yeah, we texted about it.
And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, he won. Yeah. But Ozdemir, because that was the fight that you said Ozdemir was going to win. And I was like, against the undefeated prospect?
Yeah, that was on the original podcast.
Yeah, I was like,
the first 3 that we deleted.
It is not set to, he shouldn't beat him. He's not supposed to beat him. And I was right that he wasn't supposed to beat him, but he probably did if you were properly judging that fight.
Yeah. Proper 12.
Proper 12ing that fight.
All right. Well, you ready to wrap this thing up?
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to episode number 8 of the Fight Addicts podcast. If you're listening on an audio platform, we recommend checking out our YouTube channel. And if you're watching this on YouTube, we recommend checking out our audio platforms. Be sure to check out the blog at thefightAddicts.com and make sure that you're following at The Fight Addicts on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to stay up to date with us and keep up with everything that we are doing. Thank you guys for listening to this, making it all the way through, and we will see y'all next time.
Peace.